Hey everyone, gonna have to excuse the appearance. I have been extremely sick this week, and I'm still not quite over it. I'm just not sure when I'm gonna have time to film again. Links for everything I mention will be in the description box down below. I'm only saying that because I have not quite figured out how I can hold up my Kindle in a way that the camera actually makes the screen of the Kindle legible, nor do I have video editing software where I can put pictures of stuff, like in a corner. Maybe one day I'll invest in that, but right now it's just not something that's plausible. So yeah, I'll hold up what I can. I don't have very many physical books for the month of October. Most of them are on Kindle. But for the ones that I cannot hold up, then of course I'll put the description box links in the description box. So for October, first TBR, I actually have two different ones. First one is for the Spook-a-thon, which is being hosted by Books and Lala. I will put the description to her announcement video down below so you can get information on dates, challenges, that sort of thing. She has 5, I wrote them down, 5 challenges. First challenge, which I actually do have a physical book for, is a book you wouldn't normally read. And that, for me, is The One by John Mars. This is a fiction. I don't read a whole lot of fiction. I read a lot of sci-fi, a lot of fantasy, YA and adult. But this is an adult fiction. But it does sound like, if I'm going to read a fiction, the type of fiction that's right up my alley, which this has to do with you take DNA test and you are partnered with your genetic match, your perfect partner genetically. And that's the person that you have to be with. Of course, that doesn't always work. And this apparently touches on that. Sounds like it's going to be a little bit darker aspect. I, for one, love the star-crossed lovers, fated lovers, enemy to friends type trope in my romance. Not that I'm a huge romance fan, but when there is romance, those are the tropes I like. And this seems to be a little bit of a darker take on that fated lovers kind of trope. So this is also a book I have to read in October because it's a book for our local book club, which meets on the 26th. So that'll be the very first book I'm picking up, which coincides with Books and Lala's readathon. So normally not a book I'd read, but I'm picking it up for the readathon. Then for thriller, I have an action thriller by Kevin Tinto, and that's his book called Ice, which has to do with like an archaeological dig, and they find something and governments don't like that, and basically it's going to throw the whole scientific community on its head, and there are certain people in the world that don't want that to happen, so there's a thriller involving that. Then I have a sci-fi, at least I understand it as a sci-fi. This is for the challenge of read something with red in the cover, and that is Rosewater by Tade Thompson, and its cover kind of has this yellow to orange to red sort of wavy thing going on. I'm not really exactly sure who was thinking what when they designed that cover, but a little bit of a sci-fi, it sounds like, and it's got red in the cover, so it matches that one. The other one is read a book with a spooky word in the cover. I chose The Witch's Daughter by Paula Braxton, because the word witch to me is spooky, and that's a little bit of a historical fiction. I don't know if it's going to have any fantastical elements, but it might, but it has to do with historical witches. And then there's one that's read a book in a spooky setting, and I chose The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. I've been wanting to get into, October's coming up, if I wanted to get into some kind of spookier reads. I've never read a Shirley Jackson book. I have a friend who has and says that she's quite creepy, but also, a little bit of mystery in that, and I like mystery. Not the usual read, but I do like it. So that is for that one. And that is my first TBR. My second TBR, and this is way overly ambitious, I know it is, but I have a lot of time coming up. October's a slower month. I may actually get through these. We'll see on my October wrap-up. But second TBR, which is just all the books outside of the readathon, I chose Crimson Bound by Rosamund Hodge. I read Cruel Beauty, the first one in this kind of universe of fairy tale retellings that she's done about 4 years ago, I think it was. It might even have been 5, but I'm pretty sure it was 4. That was a Beauty and the Beast retelling. This one is a Little Red Riding Hood retelling. I read the first chapter, and it seemed like it was one that was going to be an excellent October fall read. So I put it aside after the first chapter and went, yeah, I'm going to come back to that in October. Then, on my Kindle, I have 2 books by Virginia Boker, The Witch Hunter and the King Slayer. These are YA fantasy books about a witch hunter and the family. I have another Shirley Jackson book, We Have Always Lived in the Castle, as well as 2 books by Maureen Johnson, The Name of the Star, which is part of her Shades of London series, which is an adult fantasy. I believe it's an urban fantasy. It strikes me kind of along the lines of the Darker Shade of Magic trilogy when I read the description. So I think I'm really going to enjoy that one because I loved the Darker Shades of Magic. And then her YA mystery, Truly Devious, is the other Maureen Johnson book I have picked up. Then by Emily Bain Murphy, I have the book The Disappearances. I picked this up, I want to say 2 years ago. I read the first 30 pages, put it down, and just forgot about it. So I figured, you know what, I'll give it another try. And if I still don't like it, I'll DNF it. But it's October. It's a good time for mysteries and creepy stuff. Then I have The Hangman's Daughter by Oliver, and the last name I cannot pronounce, but it's Potzsch. I understand that this book was originally written in, I believe, German, and has now been translated into English, and I have the English translation. Then I have another adult fantasy, The Artisans by Julia Reese. I have another thriller, which is The Atlantis Gene by A.J. Riddle. Then I have another YA, This Savage Song by Victoria Schwab. That's another one, been on my Kindle for a while. I just haven't picked it up, but it's kind of intrigued me, and I do like Victoria Schwab's writing. And that is actually it for the other October. Oh, my big book of the month. I never mentioned that. That is Angel Bound by Christina Bauer. I'm not sure about that one. It's a fantasy for sure. I don't know if it's an urban fantasy or what type of fantasy it is, but it has to do with like this half angel, half demon character, and it looks quite interesting. So that's my big book. And I do have audiobooks as well for a lot of these, or at least a handful of them for sure. It's a huge TBR. It's probably way overly ambitious, but we'll see how far I get. And I will let you know how it goes in my October wrap-up. If I'm feeling a lot better by the readathon for Spook-a-thon, I will also vlog Spook-a-thon. That's all going to depend on how I'm feeling and how things are going. So yeah, that's it for now. Bye-bye.